Welcome to Sketchup. Today you're going to be drawing a Ziggurat temple, and by so doing, learning all the different features of Sketchup. Before you do anything, make sure that you have your file saved. If this says untitled, then you're going to have to click on it and go to the industrial tech folder in your drive and give it a name. I recommend temple or Ziggurat, and press save. To start this off, I'm going to use the rectangle tool, and the rectangle tool is used by clicking once on the origin. And then because I want a rectangle of a specific size, I'm going to type in numbers. I do not need to click on the dimensions box at the bottom. I can simply type in 200 feet, comma, 200 feet, enter. And I have a large space in which I can work. On that space, I'm going to be drawing another rectangle, technically a square. And I'm going to make that 100 by 100, so 100 feet, comma, 100 feet, enter. And on that, I'm going to draw concentric squares. So I'm going to use a tool called the offset tool, and that is found right down here and right here, the middle row first option. That allows me to draw a shape that is parallel to any shape I select, and I'm going to actually put that concentric square 10 feet inside of the first square. So I'm just going to type in 10 apostrophe, which is feet, and press enter. I'm going to do it again. That was a fail. If you fail at it and double click like I just did, you just can press Control Z, or you can press the back button right here. And click here, 10 feet, enter. And I'm going to do one more, 10 feet, enter. From this point, I can push pull these up, and I'm going to do them in a specific distance. You can just eyeball it and bring it up like this and like this, but I like to actually do them to a specific size. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, which means the middle one's going to go up 40 feet. And the second one's going to go up 30 feet. And the third one's going up 20 feet. And obviously the last one's going to go 10 feet. Enter. On top of this, I'm going to make this into an actual house on top, the actual temple portion of this Ziggurat temple. I'm going to click once, bring it up a little bit more. Now, in this space, I personally like to put pillars at the corners, but you can do whatever you want. There is no specific requirement here. I click there like that, and that allows me to use a push-pull tool. And I'm hovering over the back line here, and that makes it go all the way through. If you'd like to make them go through both sides, that would be great. For this example, I'm not going to do that. To make steps, you can simply draw a rectangle on the face here to say, this is where the steps are going to be. And I can do that, or I like to line them up to the opening, but you don't have to. There we go. I now have a space there, and that looked like that failed. I'm not sure why. I'm going to draw a rectangle on the face here. Oh, I see, it didn't line up. If you ever have an issue that doesn't quite make sense, just press Control Z and undo it. I'm going to draw the steps a little bit simpler then. I'm just going to draw a rectangle that looks like it's centered. This rectangle is drawing from the center. If I want to make it draw from the corner, I press the CTRL button on my keyboard. There. Once I have a space where the steps are going to be, I can click on the end point and go to the midpoint, and the end point, and go to the midpoint, and the end point, and go to the midpoint. There we go. And that gives me the possibility of pushing and pulling until this looks right. And that looks right. I can continue that right down the front here. If I hover over this endpoint and go straight down, SketchUp will line it up for me. And once again, I can go from endpoint to midpoint, endpoint, midpoint. And I'll pull these out as well. And you can play with them to make the steps look right. I'm not going to take the time to do that right now because I'm sure you don't want to watch a long video. But play with them, make them look good, bring them all the way down to the ground, but I'm not doing that right now. As for the roof up here, what you can do is pull this up a little bit. And if you want to make a flat top, that's fine. If you want to take a pencil tool, hover here, and go down the side like that, you can actually chop off the edges so it looks like a house type thing. But I'm going to leave mine flat topped. On top of this, you can put ornamentation. You can decorate it more. You can also, at the bottom, wherever the steps come out, you can draw rectangles to be pathways. If you want to make your ground bigger so you can have a more elaborate scene, it's pretty simple. Just draw another rectangle, or 3, or 6. And all you have to do is go in here and erase this line. One more thing I'm going to show you today is how to color it. You can use the paint bucket tool, which is right here. And the paint bucket tool gives you the options of all these different colors, which have already been used somewhere in this drawing. Or you can click on the browse button. The browse button allows me to do things like choose stone. And I can choose stone, come in here and paint my structure. I can also look for things like roofing or landscaping. I'm going to choose some landscaping. Grass. I can also choose things like glass. That's fun to play with, but I'm choosing brick right now. 1, 2, 3. And that's a good start. From here, I'll teach you a lot more, but you can do a lot with just these skills. Have fun.